Welcome to Yes, I'm a Scientist, where we have diverse conversations with diverse people about science, careers, life, and advice. In today's episode, we have a scientist who started her career as a nurse, and after 14 years in the profession and 2 master's degrees, she became a PhD scientist. Born and raised in Portugal, Sara is very passionate about giving back to her community and inspiring others to achieve their goals. In today's episode, she shares how she led a successful social media and television campaign to promote bone marrow donations amongst African communities in Portugal. Sara also tells us about her work as Next Einstein Forum Ambassador for Cape Verde, and today she joins us from Lisbon, Portugal, and shares her unique experience as a Black Portuguese woman and scientist. So, great. How are you? How are you today,
fine.
Sara? Yeah? So
Yes.
Where in the world are you?
I'm in Lisbon, Portugal.
Lisbon, Portugal. Well, I think I can see some sunshine.
Yeah, it's a lovely day today.
That's lovely. So you're in the lab on a Saturday?
Usually I work on weekends. I like to work on
Okay.
weekends, actually.
Oh, really?
Because it's much less people, it's quiet, and you work better. All the equipments are available, so you procrastinate less.
Okay. Wow. Dedication. So, thank you for agreeing to chat with me today, and as an amazing Black woman and scientist. And actually, I met you in that very lab. That's where we met.
Exactly, here at IMM.
Yeah, the IMM. So I thought maybe we can start at the beginning, the beginning of your journey. So maybe if we take it back to your childhood, maybe we can talk about where you're from, your school life.
Yeah, well, I was born in Portugal, but my parents are from Cape Verde.
Yeah.
So I have double nationality. I was born in a small town like 30 kilometers from Lisbon, where I grew up, where I did my studies until high school. And then I came to Lisbon for my degree. And, there's not many Black people in my hometown. We were not that much. So, but of course, I faced many things related to my skin color during high school, not in elementary school.
Okay.
Elementary school was really, really great. Well, from what I remember.
Yeah.
I'm not very good in childhood memories. In high school, though, I remember I had some teachers that really questioning the work that I did, if it was I that did the homework, or if it was why I written the test, the text. But then, I had the text and the exams and I passed, so they could not do nothing. But I remember like 2 or 3 episodes during my journey in high school, they really doubting if it was me doing the things. But besides that, it was really nice. So, yeah.
So you said it was the teachers. That's interesting that you faced discrimination from the teachers.
Not like obvious discrimination, like in your face. But since you were the only Black student in the class, and you're not misbehaved and you behaved well. So when you are like a kid that's it's all active or doing troubles in the classroom, it's obvious that some teachers segregate those type of students. But I was not that profile student. I was quiet. I was attending the class normally like any other average student. But they all remember it was one in Portuguese and one in biology. They were new students. They were new teachers at the school. Because at my school, my mother worked there at my high school. So all the teachers knew my mother. So all the teachers knew me and my brothers. So, and my mother is an excellent woman and she built some kind of a reputation over there, although she was the cleaning lady. So everybody knew their children. But even though new professors or some old school professors, because of the Portuguese was an old school professor, they really doubted my work. It happened like 2 or 3 times during my high school time. So it was not obvious discrimination. It was sudden, but I was already an adolescent. So I knew that I was being questioned, not just because of my skin color, because there were not many Black students at high school. So the bottleneck starts way before. So how could she be like here and have good grades and write good tests? So, but well, it was like that. But besides that, it was good. I had the advantage of having already like a kind of a status that was built from my mother, because everybody liked my mother. So, but even for me, that I had that privilege, that happens to me. So I can imagine to all the others that didn't have that. And I know many of my friends that are Black, they all face the same thing. I face it in high school. I face it in university. I face it when I start my job. I face it in my master's. So, well.
Yeah. So you mentioned that in elementary school that wasn't an issue. So, but then at the same time in your community, there weren't many Black people. When were you first aware of your Blackness?
All Black families have that thing. I think we all have that thing that our parents really soon taught to us that we have a different skin tone and that will impact us in your life. So early on I was a kid, I knew that I must be prepared, that people will look at me differently just because I had a different skin tone. And my mother, I remember I was a kid, always my mother lectured us with that thing. And since childhood and through life, she always prepared us for that. So I was very much aware that to be, when those type of situations occur, I could see if it was related or not to my skin color. So very much aware of that. In my childhood, in elementary school, I didn't have that. I don't know, maybe I was a good student. I had a great professor as well. So probably she liked me like she liked the other students. So although I was we were 2 in my elementary school, 2 Black students. And actually the guy was the best student of the class.
Wow, okay.
I remember him, Bruno Fernandes was one of the best students in our class because we all made the elementary school together. So we were 2 and the 2 of us were good. And actually she never, since I remember, never had that impact. And my friends of elementary school was the same friends that I had before I entered elementary school because I was in preschool.
Okay.
So we all were together in preschool. We went to elementary school. So I don't remember anything like when I was 3 or 4. When we got into elementary school by 6, we already knew each other from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So, and it was really a small school because back then it was almost 40 years ago. So it was a really small school. So we all were together until we were 10. So I didn't notice the big things.
Yeah. So how did you decide what you wanted to do after high school? What's the process like of career?
I was like not an average student. I was a little bit above average, but I was a great student, a good student. And I really wanted something related to health, but I didn't want to take a doctor degree. Everybody, you should go to medical school. No, I didn't want to go to medical school. Then I thought, you were 18, so I have to decide something. So I decided to nursing school. So it was like on my last year of high school. I really decided, okay, it will be nursing school. And then I applied to that. The year before, I was still considering going or not to medical school. I was like 17, 16. But when I was 18 in my last year, it will be a lot of study. I will go to nursing school. And it was actually a good decision at the time. Although in the future, I could now looking backwards, I should have, decided for another thing, because nursing is a very important profession, but it's not well paid and the credits are not good. But yes, at the time, so I took nursing. The decision was simple like that. I want health I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a physiatric. I'll be a nurse. It was simple as that. I'll try nursing school. And I went to a nursing university.
Okay. And then how was your university experience?
Yes, it was also good. I also suffer, from skin-related discrimination as well from one of the teachers in my third year. I remember perfectly. We were taking, because back then the nursing degree, it was really, really great. At least in my university, it was a bachelor degree. Then it became one more year to give you like, I don't know how to say it in English, because first it's bachelor and then it's like, well, it's a 4-year course, then becomes a 4-year course. But I remember in my second year, I was doing an internship in the hospital, in a medicine yard, adults, and we have to wear a uniform. So we have to wear also, socks, white socks, like really the ones that compress your legs. And I was always very messing with putting the collants and the socks. I always like, my mother spent a lot of money because I wear ones, and then I manage, I don't know why, to, break them all, and I have to buy a new one. And class, at the time, we had a white uniform, white shoes, blue jacket, and white collants. Because it was one, and it was very expensive because you have to buy it in the pharmacy. But one day when I woke up and I went to the drawer and I took the collants, they were all messy. I thought, I cannot wear these ones. So I use a regular ones because it's like regulars, but in my skin tone. And I went to my internship and the professor was like me, like that, because she was really picking on me, because I was doing everything great. But she really didn't like me, and I know because I was for her different. Don't you know that the socks must be skin colored? And I told her, so what is the color of my skin? Because they are all used to see white socks, white legs, but my legs are not white. So I just was wearing something that is proper for my skin color. And there I knew that was the critical moment. She gave me a not very good evaluation. So in a scale from 0 to 20, she gave me 13.
Wow.
And that internship ended. And the day after, we started a new internship in another thing. It was in a neurosurgery yard. And the other teacher at the end of my second internship said, Sara, I can only give you 17. I cannot give you 18 or 19 because it will be strange to the school. Why did you finish one with 13? And then the day after you started a new one that will end it with 19. So I will put my colleague evaluation being questioned. Why did you give her 13 if she's so good and she would deserve a 19? But well, it's not like that, no problem. Used to it. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So how did you deal with that? How did you cope in those situations?
I cope, like I told you before, we are prepared since we're kids for this situation. So we cope very well. So that's an advantage and also a problem because you are so used to it that you just even don't complain. Sometimes if you are, it happens on a day that you are not really in a good mood, it's more difficult to cope. But usually you are so used to it, you have suffered so many situations like that you say, oh, it's just another discrimination situation. Okay, used to it. So, but overall, like I told you, I was prepared from my childhood for these situations. So I know how to confront people based on that. I know that I will have consequences when I confront people, depending on the people, but I'm also ready to deal with the consequences because we were prepared to do that. So, well.
So what advice would you give to somebody who maybe didn't have parents who prepared them or didn't really have that advice or guidance, what would you say if they find themselves in a similar position?
You always have to reply in a way that the other person questions himself, or he doesn't have a way to counter respond. You leave them speechless. And that's the best way. One, what will happen? Or he's going to be upset, but he can't reply because he has nothing to say. Or he really will reflect on what he was saying and probably don't do it again. Which I don't know that happens, because usually people do that things. I think the majority of them, they are really not aware, because it's like inbred. They don't know they are being racist all their lives like that. All their education was like that. They never really thought about it. So for them, it's normal because they are not being like explicitly racist. Because when they are explicitly racist, you see they are explicitly racist. So they are not even aware of that. So that's why it's more difficult to change the situation, because the majority of people that have racist or discriminating attitudes, they are not even aware that they are doing so. So that's why.
Okay. So did you have a diverse group of friends, or I don't know?
No. The majority of my friends are all Caucasian, white.
Okay.
My childhood, I've had friends. We are 40-year friends now. And yes, they are the majority. I could say like 97%, no. Until 15 years ago, I could say almost 100% of my friends were were white. So yes, but I'm a very social person, so I speak to a lot of people. So, but it's normal for them to be white, because I was born in a city where 90% or 95% of people are white. I came to Lisbon, and where I went to school, 99% of the students are white. So it's normal that my friends are all white. So if I grew up in a neighborhood in Lisbon where the majority of the citizens were mixed or black or another cultures, of course, the majority of my friends would be like that. So my friends are the reflection of where I was born and raised. So
yeah. Did you ever speak with your friends about what you experienced, or?
Oh, and yes, and they don't the majority of them don't understand. Period. So I quit. Sometimes we discuss, and discussing racism is not easy. I get my tone voice very high, and you cannot speak like that. And I say, you cannot speak other way around. If something happens to your child, would you speak nicely, or would you be upset? If it was something that really happened to your child, and it was like, I don't know, a crime or something, you cannot speak about that peacefully and smiling, because it's not a good situation. So the majority of them don't understand. The majority of them thinks there barely no racism in Portugal. But I have many friends that really understand. They are all white. Of course, my black friends, all of them understand everything. That we even don't need to speak. We just look at each other. You got it. But yes, I have many friends that also do understand. They are really, really aware. They are really, really anti-fa, anti-racist. So yeah.
So last year, especially after following the situation in America and the protests, the Black Lives Matter, did you find that there was a change in Lisbon and Portugal and the people in the communities that you're around? Was that impacted?
Yes, it had an impact. Of course, it had an impact. Now, I think it had an impact worldwide. Black Lives Matter initiative has been happening quite a long. I've been following way before last year incidents. And of course, it had an impact here because those people that really think, white people, now I'm thinking about why I'm talking about white people, that really also that when they are approached about racism, they do believe there's something, but they didn't do anything yet. They got more involved. And the other people that really don't think they are racist and there's no racism, they started to question some of their attitudes that they thought that they weren't racist. And so in that, it's good. And obvious, many of those people as well started to question and said this is an overreaction thing. But at least it instigated the debate. Yeah. And I think that it's very good.
Yeah, that's good. I think here it's quite common in workplaces to have, they call it unconscious bias training. So it's training for staff to show them that unconsciously they may, treat a Black woman differently to a white woman or an Asian woman or someone who's older or has a different sexual orientation or gender. Is there anything like that where you work or where you've previously worked? Has there been any training to try and counter discrimination?
Oh, like civilization workshop or something?
Yeah, workshops or HR trying to...
No, explicitly, no.
Okay.
Like, I don't know how was IMM before I arrived here, but from the moment I arrived here, I knew there were not many Africans or Black scientists. I don't know why, but people here didn't even notice that the non-international institutes, 99.9% are Caucasian or Indians, of course. They even don't understand. Even if you see the Indian scientists, they don't even understand that the Indian scientists that you see in Europe are the privileged ones from India. The ones that the parents can afford them to have proper education. Many of them study abroad, so they represent the privileged society of India. So they are not representative of a big country as India and as diverse as India. And so they cannot even understand why they didn't think about it, why there's no Black people. And I'm not talking about Black people from African countries. I've been thinking people like me.
Yeah.
Black Portuguese people. And I remember once it was like I was here and I don't know, for 6 or 7 months and I was having lunch and then the discussion was evolving and I said it was one PI at the table. It was several postdocs as well. Did you never notice that I basically, we are like 3 or 4 Black people at IMM and you never question why? And they all stopped. And one of the guys said, actually, now that you are speaking, yes, I never saw Black. So they never thought that, yes, there's not like Black Portuguese people here in science. So again, it's like racism. It's a thing that they don't think about it. You were never told to think about it. And you see the society, you don't see, you only look for the things that are equal to you. Yeah. You're not usually looking for the society as a whole, like here. So,
yeah. I think it's common, like here, the phrase that a lot of people use, they say, oh, I don't see color, I just see people. What do you think?
I think it's an hypocrisy. Of course, they see color because it's inbred of the society to see color. It's inbred on the society to treat women differently. It's inbred on the society to expect things from women different from men. They are not aware that the thing is within the way they think. So that's why they don't think they say I don't see color. If you don't color with people, it's horrible because, come on, I'm not a pencil.
Yeah.
All the pencils. So, but yes, I've heard that I don't see colors, I see people. All lives matter. It's not only the Black lives matter. And I say, of course, all lives matter. But the Black Lives Matter movement, it's not about questioning the relevance of being a human person. Because it's the thing that we are not even treated as like.
Yeah. No, definitely. So going back to your journey, so you went to university to be a nurse, and then you were a nurse for
14 years.
And then you decided to then move into science. How can you talk to me about that transition?
Well, actually, it was kind of a coincidence. Because I was, like you told, I was a nurse for 14 years. And I was saying that the future in nursing in Portugal was really, really bad. I've seen it 10 years before already.
In what way? What do you mean?
In what way that I could not, I would be stuck in that position forever, doing the same thing until I was 60 years old and being bad paid. And the situation changed a lot since 2001 when I started nursing, and 2015 when I left. The society changed a lot in those 15 years. The people changed a lot in those 15 years. I remembered when I entered in 2001, because I worked in the pediatric hospital. So back then, it was like 20 years ago. The parents were really... They respect your work. So they understood that the situations were not easy, but they respect your work. And all the parents, before the children or the child left, they would say goodbye to every person that was working in that shift. And I ended, when I left in 2015, so many people, when they were discharged, we just went to the bed. Oh, they left. We didn't know that they left. They got the medical doctor discharge and they just left. They didn't say goodbye to anyone. Parents were way more complaining for simple things. They didn't appreciate the things that you were doing. Not that I know that I'm doing good. I don't need people to tell you, oh, Sara, you're doing so good. I don't need, it's not that type of appreciation that I need. But it's the type of respect for my job.
Yeah.
And it was not being respected what I was doing. So the parents change. It's another generation of parents that are educated differently. And I saw that. And I was, no, this is too much responsibility. If something happens, I will be the one that will be really in a very compromised situation. And I'm not paid enough for this. So it's been actually after, 5 years after, not even 5, like 4 years after I entered nursing, I knew already it's done for me. But I was never able to, I didn't want to go abroad. Many people went to the UK and Switzerland, and I didn't want to go abroad because Lisbon, it's great and wonderful weather. I have all my family and friends here. But I also didn't have any type of qualifications to do anything else. So the only possibility was to take another degree. Probably I should have taken another degree and something else, but I did not. I took a master's, but didn't help anything. Then I took another master's, then it didn't help anything. But it helped, actually, in fact, those 2 masters helped when I saw an opportunity of a PhD program. And I applied to this PhD program that had the possibility, a PhD in life science, that you could apply without having a life science academic background.
Okay.
The transition was like that. I thought, now it was in 2014, I really was personally, I'd say this is my last year as a nurse. I really have to find something, and then pop up this opportunity to take a PhD. And I thought, yes, a PhD in life science. And then I went back to my childhood memories. I played a lot as a biologist, but a lot as I remember perfect. Me, my friends, and my brothers, we had like the Explorers Club, like from we were, 6 until 11. So we went to the woods and pick up animals, pick up plants. and do a lot of things, dissect animals, put books with different type of plants, label the plants, do experiments with detergents, soap. We even had a microscope, and we did it for years. We built our own cabin where we had a record, we had a diary where we put everything. So I thought, yes, I will take a degree in life science, in a PhD.
Wow.
So that's my transition was simple like that. So it was an opportunity that I came across with, just apply it, and I was lucky enough to get selected. And I think that the 2 masters that I did before, that I thought they didn't help, because it didn't help in my career as a nursing or to change in something in the big health department, at least helped me to qualify to be a candidate for the PhD.
Wow, that's great. So can you tell me about the 2 master's degrees? That's amazing.
Well, I took a master's in public health, and then I took a master's in HIV. It was one in 2005 and the other in 2007.
So was this part-time whilst you were still working as a nurse?
Yes.
How was that?
I was working as a nurse, doing my shifts, morning, late, evening shifts, and having classes. And, well, I just had to adapt. Well.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. So how is it starting a PhD without necessarily having the biological background?
Well, this PhD program is from IGC, another research institute in Lisbon. And it's really great because we have 1-year classes before.
Okay.
Of course, it takes you time from bench work. But during that 1-year classes, we had every week, we had new scientists, because it was all scientists, all PIs from around the world, that give you classes. Every Monday, a new set of 4 PIs giving you lectures for a week. And it was divided in 4 models, since I recall, fundamental biology, marine biology, plant biology, and the last one was immunology and tropical diseases. Okay. So we had almost the full spectrum of life science fields, classes of everything, so we could decide whatever we want. So they gave you, of course, they talk about their research, and they gave you general knowledge about that field in particular. So it was a good way, and for me, it was really good, because the thing that I remember from science was 20 years ago, when I studied DNA, double helix, and that's all. RNA, and I don't remember everything. So I did struggle at the beginning. I remember the first 3 months was really, really hard, because I was really not understanding what they were talking about. Majority of my colleagues, they have a life science background, because they all study biology in their university. So for me, it was really, let me see. I didn't understand. But then the thing, the machine went going and everything went perfectly, and I'm here. So.
Wow, that's amazing. And so just a brief summary of what your PhD is on? So
then I decided I really wanted to work with host-pathogen interactions. And then I thought, yes, I will work. Malaria, I think, Plasmodium, it's a good parasite. It's a good microorganism that I want to work with. And then I applied to this lab where I'm current, the Maria Motta's lab here at IMM. She works in biology and physiology of malaria. And, it's what I work with. I work with liver stage malaria, actually a protein that is mainly expressed during the liver stage of the disease. And basically what I do is fundamental biology, fundamental work, molecular and biochemical work, basically. I was not expecting to do that. Really, I know looking back, I say, when you see the movies, people pipetting and things. It's molecular biology stuff that I'm doing now. And yes, working with one important protein from the liver stage. And it's that. I'm on my last year. I should have finished already, but hopefully I will finish now in 2021.
Yeah. No, that's great. So outside of your career you're really passionate about the African communities and giving back and outreach. Can you tell me about that passion? And
yes, because when you ask me, oh, did you felt something when you were growing up? That's the thing. The only thing that I felt always is, why the hell I'm the only Black person in my class?
Mm.
And then when I came to normal, I could understand that in my hometown, we are not that many.
Mm.
And many of them, unfortunately, as me, we came from poor families. So you are already segregated because of being poor, but others had worse conditions because they live like in the projects, and people like to, unfortunately, put bad labels to projects. And that's one thing that I always hated, because I had family here in Lisbon that live on the projects as well. Mm. And I came here very often, and there's no greater environment than living there. And people really are not, there's a misunderstanding what is living on the projects, totally misunderstanding. People don't understand the diversity, the cultural thing, the solidarity that happens on the project that doesn't happen where I live or many other places. And then I started reflecting on why we are so many Black people in high school and university. Real soon, I could understand that it was a society problem. And that when I came to Lisbon to take my nursing degree, that was obvious. That was because I left my hometown, I come to the capital city. So we could see that because the diversity is on the capital city, there are a lot of immigrants, and still when all the places that I go, because all my friends are white, so all I do is like Caucasian type of culture. There are not so many Black people. So one thing that always upset me was the lack of representativity of Portuguese Black people as myself in all sectors of the society.
Yeah.
And it was a thing that I always wanted to do something and to change. And with the NEF initiative, my main objective to enter the NEF was to be able to tackle that issue that after that here in Portugal. Because how to have ideas to promote inclusion and to stop the bottleneck after elementary school in Portuguese African descendants students. And that for me, it's what I think it's very important. And to start doing that is to show and to tell other people, other African people, African descendants just like me, we can all do this. We can all do this. And it's a thing that I really wanted to tackle. And it's the lack of it's really upsetting. I was always like, we were only 2 on elementary school. Then we were only 5 or 6 in high school. Then we were only 2 in my university, in the hospital, in the biggest pediatric hospital in Portugal. We can count, 10 between doctors and nurses.
Wow.
Not the clinic ladies though, because the clinic ladies are always Black. Then I go to your hospital. Then I go to my yard. We are only 2 Black. Then I come to the institute, always. And this was a thing that I really wanted to tackle.
You were involved in trying to promote bone marrow donations.
And actually, also that thing is interesting because it was a child that came from Cape Verde.
Okay.
Yes, and she had a disease, an hematopoietic disease that she didn't produce. Her bone marrow stopped, and she was really desperately needing a bone marrow transplant. The relatives were not compatible, so the only way that she could survive it was with the bone marrow transplant. And she was already in our yard for 6 months, more than 6 months.
Wow.
One room, she could not leave the room, ever leave the room. We had to enter, how we are all dressed up like now with COVID at times. So we had to enter like that to protect her. Of course, in her bedroom, she did everything, bath, toilet, everything in that bedroom. And one day we were on her nurse room. I was telling the things to the other shift that was entering. And then one doctor said, because we were discussing our situation, that we need really to find the transplant, because she did blood transfusions like every day. And the thing was getting worse. Oh, we really need to find a way to, the doctor teams were amazing, really, to find a way to help her. And then someone said like that, and that people, they really don't go. That people are the Black people. And that people, they really don't go, to donate bone marrow. And that thing really upsets me up. From that moment. I said, now I'm going to do a bone marrow initiative straightly directing to Black people, because they are neither not aware why Black people don't go there, because many of them are illegal. They cannot, many of them are not even aware of that they can do this, that people need, you can donate these type of things, and they just label them as, they don't even donate. And then I developed this initiative, like really to incentivize Africans and African descendants worldwide to register, not only as a bone marrow, but as a blood donors. Because we Black people, we are really diverse in terms of genetics. And it's really important to have, banks of bone marrow and blood really diverse. And it's true that there are not so many Black people registered, because the majority of Black people is in the African continent, and the majority of African countries don't have the proper facilities to have a bank that respect the international law to have to collect bone marrow donations. So of course, because all the bone marrow centers are connected internationally.
Okay.
So if you're in the UK and you need a bone marrow transplant, someone from the US can be your donor.
Okay.
But not someone from Uganda. But just because Uganda don't have the facility to have a center of bone marrow donations, because if they had the facility, Ugandan citizens could be volunteers and donate just like any other country. Well, here in Portugal, we give it freely. In the US, I know you get money for being a donor. But here, I prefer the Portuguese way. It's really a volunteer action. And I did that initiative, and after 6 months, we were able to find a donor for the kid.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so good. That's really, really good.
And I went, to the television, to the newspapers, I did a Facebook account, I went to the radio, and I did a campaign where many Black people went to be registered. So the idea was register. You may not help Irene, but it will help for sure someone else.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's really great.
And I really have to say, in my 14s of being a nurse, that for me was my highest point. I think that happened in 2012. And I thought, I cannot get any more pleasure of anything that I'll be doing if I stay here for more 30 years that I have done now, because it was really, really fulfilling feeling.
And then all those other people's lives that you've helped to save that you don't know of.
Hopefully.
As a consequence, yeah. Yeah, maybe we can now move on and talk about NEF, so the next Einstein Forum. So for people that don't know what that is, can you explain?
Well, very briefly, it's a very important Pan-African initiative, and it's to show to the rest of the world there's a lot of African and African descendant scientists. So yes, we are underrepresented, but yes, we do exist, and based on the continent. And the initiative basically happens to every 2 and 2 years. They select an ambassador for each African country to promote science, so STEAM, science, technology, engineering, and math initiatives to your country. And also they elect between 8 to 12 fellows, which are African researchers, the majority of them African-based, that have already achieved a high stand of their professional background. and they promote them to show that, yes, there are many Black African scientists, Black and not, because it's from the 54 African countries. We are many, we exist, and to promote them. And it's a really good, for me, it was a really good initiative in many, many ways. Mm-hmm. First of all, I have an opportunity to know someone from each African country. And for me, Africa is the most interesting continent in the world. And that's the one of the main things. And then it's really, I think the aim of the initiative, it's really, really good, because people, 5 years before, here at IMM, like I told you, I confronted people about that. So for them to think why there's not too many here, but for them also to think that, but they exist. African scientists exist. And I really think that that's the purpose of that initiative. It's promoting African-based sciences, and to also to see that we exist, and even in our countries, to show African people that we have scientists. So if you want, we can, enlarge this pool of researchers.
That's great. So how did you get involved? How did you hear about it? And how did you...
I heard about it because the initiative started officially, like it was launched in 2013, I guess, but the first edition was in 2015. And a colleague and friend of mine from my PhD batch was elected the NEF ambassador for Cape Verde from 2015, 2017. So that's how I came across with the initiative.
Okay.
And then I thought, well, I think this initiative is the ideal initiative to give me some tools to how can I design something to promote a more inclusive science here in Portugal and also in Cape Verde, of course. And I applied to the NEF and to be the ambassador for the Cape Verde from 2017 to 2019. And luckily enough, I was elected. Yes.
That's great.
And it was really, really nice. And I had the opportunity to develop African Science Week in Cape Verde in 2018 and 2009, really to show to the Cape Verdean citizens and the Cape Verdean students and Cape Verdean, to see you can have a career path in science, also to show that science is in everything on your daily life, and to do public engagement with science, and not only public, also governmental engagement. So them to value the importance of having Cape Verdean researchers, and really to promote research as a political goal when they are in power. And it was really nice. I had the support of a lot of people and the help of a lot of people in Cape Verde, from the universities and civical movements, teachers, everything. It was really, really great.
Oh, that's great. So the African Science Week, so can you just explain what that entailed?
Yes, it's you design, the ambassadors have the free will to design whatever they think it's proper to promote STEAM during a week in their countries.
Yeah.
So I designed several different events towards what I think it was important for Cape Verde. So in the first year, since nobody have heard before about that, I decided to do a radio podcast. So every day it was a 5-minute podcast that would go nationally broad in the national radio about science. And it will end with a curiosity in something of science related to Cape Verde as well. And I also did small workshops and small courses for the scientific community already in Cape Verde. And I also did public engagement events for the normal citizen to get involved. Let me see, in the first year it was the radio, it was animal models, a workshop of animal models for research, for the university students and some researchers. it was 7 events. I did 7 events in 1 week in the first. But I'm a little bit tired now. I cannot remember. It was like around 1,000 people that were involved.
Wow.
In the first edition. And on the second edition, more than 3,000 people. Yes. Because
that's amazing.
I was a little more ambitious in 2019, and I went to 3 different islands. And it was 3, instead of 1 week, I did 3 weeks African Science Week.
Wow.
And yes, so it was different. It was more ambitious, but it went really well, from things from agriculture workshops to workshops for elementary school teachers to learn how to do experiments, from the basic experiments for them on the classroom. It was a science communication workshop for scientists and journalists. I did several seminars for high school students, one about fake news in science as well, conference, everything. Marine biology, we took in Mindale, we took elementary school students to the ocean to see the diversity that they have in their city. So it's really, really nice.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yes, as well. Well, many things.
That's really great. And it's amazing that you could you reach so many people. Yeah, that's really excellent.
No, that's the goal of NEF. Only told us that you have the free will to design whatever you want, but it must be STEM related and outreaching the people. So I followed those indications, and then I thought what for me would be more important and more adding value to Cape Verde, or to that kid that day had a different day. He didn't went to the classroom, or he went to the ocean, or we went to the exposition of many animals, and we can see the animals in the microscope. So that was my goal. So that kid that day, they remember that day, and eventually, I don't know, in 15 years' time, he will take a degree in biology and become a researcher because when I was a kid, we did this thing and I really, really like it. I don't know. It was my expectation.
Wow, that's great. So how is it, I know often for Africans in the diaspora, sometimes when they go back to where they're originally from, it can feel
it's not
sometimes
easy.
Different. Yeah, how was your experience?
It's not, sometimes it's difficult, but I can understand why they do that position. And the position has historical background. Because when we go, since I was not born there, for them, even to acknowledge that I'm Cape Verdean, sometimes it's difficult. Because, or even because I really speak like Portuguese kind, or I don't speak, my Creole is like the old-fashioned Creole because I speak like my mother used to speak, so I don't use their jargons, the way they speak. So they see that I was not born and raised there. And many of them don't identify as also Cape Verdeans.
Okay.
I think that sometimes our home countries, they only identify you as an equal when you are like a superstar in something. Imagine I was a major mathematician, born and raised in Portugal. My parents are Cape Verdean, but I'm born and raised in Portugal. No, or an Olympic athlete or something. Then they would say, look, a Cape Verdean, but I'm just an average person.
Yeah.
Nobody knows me. And for them, it's difficult to accept me as equal because in their mind, I was born and raised in more privileged conditions because I was born in Europe and I have access to more things and I didn't struggle the same as them, but they don't know that I had another type of different struggle. So I understand why they think about it. So it's not very easy, I must confess. It's not very easy. And usually I say it's for Portuguese people like me that are African descendants. For me, it's legit. Identity is something that is personal. So if I'm born in Portugal and I'm Black, if I only consider myself as Portuguese, it's totally legit. Because I was born and raised here, it's my citizenship, so it's totally legit. If I was born and raised here, but I only consider myself as Cape Verdean, it's also perfectly legit. It's the way I was educated, so perfectly fine. And like in my case, I consider myself as both.
Yeah.
So every three scenarios are understandable and perfect. And none of them should be criticized. I should not be criticized because I was born in Portugal and I only consider myself Portuguese while being Black. I cannot be criticized by that. I cannot be criticized that I'm Portuguese, but I feel 100% Cape Verdean. I cannot be criticized as that. And I cannot be criticized if I feel both, because I am both. Me, Sara Baptiste, I consider myself both because I was born and raised in Portugal. I have the culture that I was learned here, but I have all the things that I have in my back home, in my home. It's all the traditions my mother passed me of being Cape Verdean, all the things, the stories of Cape Verde. So I can consider myself also as Cape Verdean.
Yeah.
But for them, it's difficult. It's difficult because they don't see you as equal. And when you want to do something, it's difficult. But when you are aware of the reasons why they do that, it's more for you. You can find other strategies to embrace them in what you want to do. Because you are in advantage. You know why they think that way.
Yeah. No, I totally understand. I
don't know if you face the same thing, but...
Yeah. So similarly, I'm British and Ugandan. I have dual citizenship. And it's exactly the same. You go to Uganda, you don't feel Ugandan enough. You're here, you're not British enough.
Yes.
And but I think, the few of us in the diaspora, we understand how that feels, and I think there is a new generation, and I think things are changing across Africa. And but I do find that every time I go to Uganda or even other African countries, you are welcomed and you're made to feel at home. It's not as if you're a complete foreigner. Yes, you speak differently, you dress differently, your mannerisms are different, but you're still welcomed. It's just you're not totally the same.
Well, for my experience that I have in African countries, it's totally different when I go to my country, because obviously they see that I was not born there. But when I go to other countries, I'm just an African from another country that is not mine. They don't even question, oh, no, but you are European. No, it's different. But that it's normal, I guess. It happens with you in Uganda. If you go to Uganda, you feel the same thing as I do. But if you go to Cape Verde, you will be treated just like an African.
Yeah.
Cape Verdean, so they see you as equal Africans.
Yeah.
So, but I really think also it's changing, and for the better. As actually, the continent it's starting to think as a continent, really. And hopefully things will change for the better. NEF initiative, it's one of that initiatives, at least towards science, that wants to promote that. So I really think, and it's really great to see all the 54 countries together and it's really, you don't have another continent so diverse as the African continent.
Yeah.
So it's really, really good, and be much more inclusive to each other, to our neighbor African countries. So I think the future is changing for the better, slowly, but it is.
What do you think about Africans in the diaspora moving back to Africa?
Many people are going back. In all sectors, not only in science. But in the science, one of the things of NEF also is to promote that the diaspora goes back to their country in Africa and do something from there. And I really think it's great. And I really think that it should be done. But I also think we still have a long way to do it. But there's been a long, also many things that has been doing in place, and people are returning and doing already amazing things. But for me, I have another perspective, because I think things must be working in both sides. Both sides. So I think definitely, if you have the opportunity to go back, you should, and if you want to. But then I think we have the situation to tackle the diaspora.
Yeah.
The ones that are here that don't even manage to go to the university.
Yeah.
And I think we can promote that if you work both sides.
Yeah.
So if you are in an African country doing that, and if you are an African in diaspora, doing something different.
Yeah.
In the diaspora. So like, imagine I become a big well scientist, which I will not, but imagine I become a big well scientist in Lisbon. I will always make sure to state that, yes, I'm a Portuguese Cabo Verdean scientist. I will always have to state my heritage, my country, Cabo Verde, always. Because that's how I can promote my country, and I can encourage others that was born here just like me, but also Cape Verdean, to do the same. And also, then, I don't know, in 10 years, 15 years, I have the conditions. Now I already stable here. Now I can go to my country and help those that are already there. So I think it's the many things that must be done at the same time. But it's improving, definitely it's improving. I have a lot of colleagues from my batch of PhD that really wants to return. Some of them already returned and doing already amazing things. So I think the future is changing. Yeah, something must happen also in the countries. The countries must also value, it is important to welcome this diaspora, or not only diaspora, but the ones that were born in the African country, came to do their degree abroad and then return. And I think slowly, many countries are embracing this idea as well.
I think it's important what you said about having it on both sides, because it is a very privileged thing to be able to choose where you live. Like, a lot of people do not have the luxury to say, oh, I'm going to move back, or I'm going to do this. It's not possible. Like, you don't choose where you're born. You don't choose the life that you have. So I think it's important, like you said, to try and help the community, try and help the diaspora around you. But I think also, what do you think about the notion of, because a lot of African scientists want to come to Europe, want to come to the US, the other way round as well.
Yeah, the brain drain happens, of course. The brain happens. And I really don't like to discuss always the same issues that, because they leave the African countries because of the corruption and because of they don't have conditions. I really don't like also to discuss, because people love to tell African countries are corrupt. And I think, look at your own country. Isn't it corrupt? So why don't you say only Africa? No, it's it's a problem worldwide. It's not only African. And of course, I can understand someone that you live in a country that is in civil war. Where reagents, you can only come from South Africa or from Europe. It will take 5 times more time to get the reagents to get there. You don't have electricity, goes on and off. You don't get well paid. Of course, it's legit for you to go abroad.
Yeah.
But but people usually that say that, it's mainly white people, they don't know what is to be an immigrant. And when you are an immigrant, you always have within you the will to come back. And the will to come back and to help your country. or to do something in your country. Even my mother, they didn't came to do like everyone wants to help their country. Everyone. So I think the brain drain, yes, sure, it happens. And also like promoting science, people are going back. I think it must be work on both ways again. I think the countries in Africa must accept the fact there is brain drain, but also act in a way that can, after 5 or 10 years, attract that guy that left to come back. Okay, now I don't have the conditions for you to stay here, but I want you back in 10 years. Not just go and you must return regardless. No, now I have to build the conditions that in 10 years, that guy wants to come back and do something here. And but for that, you also need someone with this type of mentality in power, to apply this type of decisions, because these are political decisions. And if you don't have someone, in the government that thinks this way, you need to have someone that thinks this way, that envisions the future in science as like this. Of course, NEF initiatives work like a good lobby in that way, because we also lobby that way. Also, we need, that's why it's important, also scientists went to politics, so for them to lobby and to pressure as well, not to stay only on the bench, but to do things in politics, because you must do everything, not only one way, 2 sides, 3 sides, all the things that you can do with the same goal.
Yeah.
I don't know if I explain myself properly, because sometimes, I'm not a native speaking English, so sometimes my English, my words may miss, but well.
No, that was great. No, that was really great. I think you articulated that really well. And I think I've taken a lot of your time, so maybe we can wrap up. But I just thought, are there any final bits of advice or?
Yes, I really wanted to, first, for every European Black citizen. So I think it's important for you. You have the right to feel whatever you want. So don't forget that you are European as well, first of all, if you want to feel that. And don't neglect the privilege of your African heritage. And we are resilient. We are used to, to difficult conditions. And it's going to be difficult. Like I told you at the beginning, in the high school and everything, it's going to be very difficult, but this seems like a cliche, but it isn't a cliche. Just forget about it and keep on doing your thing. And just don't don't fall down on the pressure of the society, of the bottleneck to segregate Black people. And of course, it's difficult when you are on the environment, when you all see like this, you cannot see open. So of course, but all I can see is that all my colleagues, they went to the constructions. They didn't study, they went to the constructions. Just because they went there doesn't mean you have to. Take the advantage of seeing what the other people, the Caucasians, are doing. Look, brother, look, because don't forget that you are European as well. So look what another person is doing, regardless if he's white or Black or Chinese or Spanish or Indian. And if you want to do that, do it because you are European. As him, don't think like, oh, my friends do this and that it's only for white people. No, we can do it, everything. Look at me. I did nursing. I didn't understand a thing about a protein. And I'm now doing fundamental biology with 40 years old. So I think there's always time to change and there's always space to learn. And really, I think the best advice that I can give from my life is that. Because really, I'm doing a thing that I was not, I didn't have the academic background to do it. But if you know someone that can give you the tools, if you know someone that is doing that, mix the two of them and do it, because you are able to do it. I don't know if I'm expressing
yeah, that's really great.
But my message is take the advantage of, if you live on the projects or if you live on the ghetto, take all the advantage of living in that neighborhood that for many of people are considered bad, but it's not bad because we learn a lot of skills, social skills. And look of the what is the lifestyle, not lifestyle, because lifestyle is a bad word. Look what other people outside the projects do. If you want to do that thing, if you want to be an engineer, go and be an engineer. If you want to be a lawyer, go and be a lawyer. I know that will be rough on you because on your neighborhood, they won't have lawyers university. So you have to go more. So you have to go farther. So for you, it will be more difficult, but you can do it. You just can do it always.
That's great.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to be next after I finish my PhD. I don't know. I'm not going to stay in science. I want to do something else. I'm still thinking of it. But I always take everything a little bit from my past with me. So I took a little bit of the nursing to this. Then I took a little bit of this and the nursing to the NEF. And then I will take something of the nursing and this and the NEF to something. And it's, really think of the things that you learn, and hard times give you lessons as well. So,
no, that's great. So I think one question I didn't ask you was, has your gender played a role, do you think, in your journey? So being a Black woman specifically.
There's a lot of stereotypes relating to being the Black woman. But in a journey, what, professionally?
As a whole, yeah.
Well, professionally, during nursing, no, because nursing is a classic woman profession. So that's
okay.
Yeah, I am as a researcher here in Portugal. Well, there's a lot of women in science. On PhD level, postdoc level, PI level as well. That's a lot. So that I didn't face. Of course, I faced the thing of being a woman itself, all the thing on the streets. That I face, of course. You sometimes when you walk by yourself at the night, it's totally different from being a woman or being a man. It's totally different, but that's the thing of being a woman. And being a Black woman, what do you face is, it's the stereotypes that you face, because it's like the stereotypes that you face of being a white blonde woman. They also have the many stereotypes. So all the stereotypes that you can think related to Black woman, I've encountered it.
Okay.
All of them. So for the good and for the bad, because stereotypes have both ways. But usually when it's Black related, the majority of them are bad. But even if you look like imagine a white blonde woman, it's also very, here in Portugal, imagine the Portuguese women typical are not blonde.
Okay.
So blonde women are really like a standard of beauty here.
Okay.
Being blonde. But also at the same time, it's being, oh, you're so pretty, you're so dumb. Because if you are pretty, you cannot be intelligent as well. So, there's a lot of stereotypes related to gender and to when you mix gender and skin color. And we got in what's of being Black and woman, yes, I faced, I can say it even, the sexual stereotypes of African woman. That's the most professionally, not because my profession, like I told you, it was basically a woman. So only the thing that I could suffer is for being Black, not for being a woman. And yet I am, it's nothing gender related as well. So the only stereotypes that you have, it's for, sexual stereotypes on the street. That it's, and that's the thing. And I don't know. Basically, yes, it's that.
In the UK, there are a lot of, we call them microaggressions. So the angry black woman. So that black
that
woman.
happens when I talk about racism.
Really?
Yes, you're always angry. You black people, when you talk about racism, you're always like that.
So it's not passionate, it's anger.
Yeah, exactly.
And then even even when you watch TV, I'm not sure what the culture is like on Portuguese TV, but the black woman is always like aggressive or scary. And it's interesting, I was having a conversation with a friend, and do you remember like even the Spice Girls, the black woman was scary. She was scary Spice. And it's like everywhere they kind of try and put this perception that, you know.
In Portugal, we face it because all of the things we see, there's not black representativity, Portuguese black representativity on the TV. So what you see, it's foreign shows, and it's all the same image, because that's how, you know, white countries that produce all the things that we consume, they perceive us. So that's the stereotype. Of course, I always say that. Or the black woman is the cleaning lady.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true.
And that's the thing. Let me tell you one thing that happened here at IMM. Like 1 year ago, I was arriving for a time point at 6 a.m. in the morning. Who does arrive at 6 a.m. in the morning being black at the institute? It's the cleaning lady. So I was arriving at the institute and I was rushing because I really had to put the UVs on. I had something to do in the cell culture. And I was entering running. And then one lady, which was an African lady, said, hey, come here. Don't forget to check your point first. To make my entrance first. So she was thinking that I was also a cleaning lady. And she was worried that I was late. And if I didn't check the point, it was less hours and I would earn less. So why I want to talk about representativity and about being black in Portugal, it's also for the black people, because since and it goes on to my final message that you request, since you don't see, since all that she knows, it's black people in the institute are cleaning ladies, it doesn't even consider the possibility that I could be a researcher.
Yeah.
Because she's not used to it. Just because she's not used to see it. And this is the lack of representativity. And for this woman, she will never go to science. What I want to do is for her to think that, to show her that we exist, and for her to look at her grandchildren and think, okay, if you want, you can do whatever. If you want to be a cleaning lady as me, you can, but you can also be a researcher if you want. So she doesn't envision the future for her granddaughter only being as a cleaning lady, because she never saw anything else.
Yeah.
So that's the way they represent us. They represent on the television black people as the waitress, as the cleaning ladies, or,
criminal,
or when there are all of white and one black, that black is really the special. We cannot just be normal. But one thing that I really want also to say is that, okay, there's a lot of stereotypes, but we understand why stereotypes exist, because many of the characteristics are linked to a culture. So it's normal that, Cape Verdean women usually do like this. Of course, if you are always dancing while, doing of course, we like to dance. So it's a stereotype that you put. Well, yeah, this is a good stereotype. All Africans dance very well. It's in your genes. It's a stereotype that all Africans dance well. And when I say to my friends, I'm not a great dancer. How can you not dance? You are black. Of course I dance, but not as good as I wanted. But it's a stereotype that all black people know to dance.
Yeah.
And it's true. But this stereotype is true, but not that white people don't know how to dance. It's just because in African culture, music We live in music since we are babies, and we grow up with music. We don't reach adolescence, and we are in a party with our home and families, and we just don't dance. No, in adolescence, I dance with my grandmother, I dance with my uncle, I dance with my cousins. We always dance. We always dance. In white people's cultures, they stop dancing. They stop touching each other. That's why they stopped developing that skill of dancing. We always dance. There's never a party in my family that there's no music and you don't dance and you don't touch each other. So I dance with my cousins, either she's a girl or a boy. We dance. We dance. So it's not that all Africans dance. No, we just keep on dancing. They don't dance because they stop. They don't dance at all, just because of that. But if they do it just like in our culture, of course they would dance. So there's that stereotype. There's the stereotype that African people are very sexualized, very sexual object. No, the culture here in many European countries, people don't touch each other, because if they touched each other, of course they will be, more accepting of touching, but they don't perhaps exist for a reason. And many of them are based or in cultural things that people face, or in struggles that type of people struggled a lot. So they develop a characteristic in the consequence of that struggle. So they stereotype. But it's like the other writer told. The problem is that the stereotypes is not that they are untrue. They are only incomplete. And the problem with Black people is that they put the stereotype as the full truth, period.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's incomplete. There are many criminals, Black criminals. So let's think, why do you think there's a lot of Black criminals? And then you understand what's the stereotype. And you see that it's not true at all. It's only incomplete. There's another type of the story that is not being told. I don't know if I...
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. Like even with the angry Black woman, why is she angry? Why is she...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like what?
Because of a purpose. Because we are always complaining about something that is unfair to us.
Yeah.
We are complaining about unfairness. Well, they don't see that they are complaining about unfairness. Or they only see that we are complaining.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So that's why the stereotype, complaining.
Yeah. Okay. Sarah, thank you so much for your time.
I really don't feel it was what you expected, but...
No, it's really great. I wanted just like an organic conversation, and I think it's been so great to hear about your life, your journey. You're an inspiration, and
I'm not.
You are. You're a strong woman, and it's amazing that you always have a smile on your face, and you're so hardworking, and you think about other people. The story with the bone marrow to NEF, and yeah, I can see your passion, and I think you'd be great in politics.
I'm not the first person to tell me that.
Yeah.
To go to politics.
Or policy making, or I think but thank you so much. And even you made my time at the IMM. I was only there for 2 weeks, but I was really blessed to have met you, and you were a great support. It's not easy. It's not easy, no. It's not easy at all, but hopefully your story will inspire.
Well, I don't know what's going to be the end of my story yet. Like I told you, I don't even know what I'm going to do when I finish my PhD. But one thing's for sure, what I've learned here, I will take with me.
Yeah.
And when I learn with the good things, or I learn with the things that went less good, because we always learn, I will take with me as well, like I take with everything. And that's my moral of life.
Yeah. No, that's great. And keep enjoying life and keep smiling and
smiling.
Yeah. So So you've got experiments to get back to now?
Well, now it's in incubation. The treatment is in incubation. Now I will have lunch.
Okay.
And then after I will do computer work because the time point, it's only at 6.
Okay. Wow. Okay, no, that's great. And I hope your experiments go well, your PhD, and congratulations.
Hopefully I will give you good news this year. I finished my PhD. You didn't study science and you do a PhD in life science.
Amazing.
And you enjoy it, which is important. Enjoying it. And I'm enjoying it while doing it.
Yeah. So. And you're living proof that it's possible and you don't have to have a biology degree. You don't have to come from a certain place.
Or you do an effort to try to achieve what you want to.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't achieve, but at least you are secure with yourself that you did your best. And that for me, it's the,
Yeah. No, definitely. Important. Okay, great. Is there anything else you wanted to say? Or?
No, thank you very much for the invitation. Still, like I told
thank you too.
I hope I managed to respond to your expectations. And thank you. It's really nice to see you.
Yeah.
Stop on the phone. Now I'm seeing you like in this now new platform. The pandemics brought us, and it's great there in UK with you.
Yeah, everything's fine. Thank you so much again, Sara, and
see you soon.
Yeah, let's keep in touch. It'll be great.
I will tell you when I finish. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay, great.
So, bye-bye.
Nice to see you.
And
bye.
See you soon.
Yeah, take care. Okay.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.